Tela cheia, prévia, janela.
Beleza, galera. Mais um vídeo aqui no canal. Hoje começando. Esse é o segundo vídeo do dia, ou se é o terceiro já, não sei, porque eu tô gravando isso aqui em sequência do Call of Duty. Então, bora lá
Play button 2 of
para o
3.
nosso evento da tarde.
Pause button.
I know.
Video.
Hello, hello, hello. How we doing today? I feel like that was a little like first day packs, a little sleepy. Let's try that again. How we feeling today? Excellent, excellent. Well, nice to see all of you. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Matthew Slim the Reason Parham. I am a voice actor. I'm the Director of Operations for the National Association of Voice Actors.
Oh. Come to our table downstairs.
Yes, yes. We have a table downstairs in the Bandland area, so please come by and say hello. But we were going to jump right in, and I'm going to introduce my two esteemed panelists here. This is from No Way to AAA, a voice actor's journey. First, Anjali Bhimani is the definition of dignity, the epitome of excellence, and a beacon of belief. From Broadway to blockbusters, from theater stages to the silver screen, Anjali has consistently blazed her own trail by being a beautiful and radiant supernova of creativity. Whether singing opera, stilling scenes in Marvel movies, or screaming, Yahim Paravavik se? Did I say it right?
So close.
So close! As Symmetra in Overwatch, that translates to this is the ultimate reality. Well, ultimately, the reality is that Anjali is now one of the video game industry's most dynamic and in-demand voice actors. Thank you so much for being here.
My God.
Right?
You weren't kidding. Excuse me, sir. That was very kind. It's all downhill from here.
Yes, yes. Yeah. We started up here, we're going down here.
Wait. Don't go down there yet.
Yeah.
I gotta get this.
We're not done yet. Cissy Jones is not some mid-tier actor hoping to be cast. She is the divine feminine of dialogue, able to tear tears from your heart or summon spirits with the song of her voice. From BAFTA Awards to bravery on Capitol Hill, from Studio City to Silicon Valley, Cissy writes her name across the sky before doing her slates. 144 IMDb credits and counting. Casting Genjutsu as the mother of chakras, Kagyu Otsutsuki in Naruto, burning it down as Delilah in Firewatch, and demanding devotion as the Absolute in Baldur's Gate 3. Cissy Jones ain't to be played with.
Matthew is available to write your own personal bios later.
Yes,
Just reach out to him.
seriously, can you? I have bookings for you to come with me.
I might be a voice actor as well. But no, I want to thank both of you, incredible, beautiful, powerful women, for honoring us with your presence today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Let's get into it, shall we? All right. Anjali, can I call you Anj?
Yeah, sure.
Anj, you come from TV and theater and opera, and Cissy, you actually come from Silicon Valley, believe it or not. Voiceover is a huge industry with dozens of different genres. I'm very interested in what compelled you both to choose the leap into video games specifically as opposed to any other genre of VO. Anj, start us off.
I love when I look at her and then my name gets called. So I wish I could say it was like, I'm gonna go into video games, but like most of my career and most times that I started to work in different media, it was more of a, oh, I didn't know that was an option. I started in theater and musical theater, and then all of a sudden, when I was with an agent, they started sending me on television auditions, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. Cool. And then it kept working that way, and then finally, and I'm embarrassed to say, although I think maybe a lot of very young kids think this, just maybe not kids that were as old as I was when I figured it out, I sort of didn't clock that the voices in the games were human beings that I could see.
With lives and feelings?
That it was an actual career path. You know, I assumed that it was, if there were people voicing it, it was the game devs or things like that. I didn't realize that it was a path for actual actors. Not that game devs can't be actors, but you know what I mean, for people who are actors and who are acting. So when my commercial agents started sending me out on voiceover, and originally it was just like accented voiceovers. All of a sudden, this audition came in for a video game that Blizzard was doing, and I didn't recognize the name of the game or the project or anything about it, but I knew what Blizzard was, and so I threw up my audition. That sounds funny. Well, the story of that audition is a separate thing, and you'll understand why I say I threw up my audition.
We'll circle back to that one.
Yeah, please do. It's a fun story. But put it out there, and then discovered that it was Overwatch, and that was kind of how I came to video games. The cool thing was, I was a gamer. I was a tabletop gamer starting at 8, and a computer gamer starting at probably not long after that. So coming back to games as an ostensible grown-up, and coming at it from a different angle as a part of my career was really, really fun.
Okay, so this was a natural segue from your commercial on-camera work. The next progression was just...
I think, and I don't know if it's the same way in finance or Silicon Valley or all of the, a lot of other fields. No, but in terms of, the same way in terms of, we were taught in theater school, or rather, we were told in theater school, you need to focus on one craft. You need to focus on your craft. You need to stay laser focused on one thing, and that doesn't work for me very well because I get bored easily. So
Squirrel.
Exactly.
Squirrel.
Exactly. That's my career. My career is squirrel. So each time something was introduced to me, it fed all of the other stuff because I was just more excited all across the board about storytelling. And I don't know if in Silicon Valley they're the same way, where they're like specialize.
Yeah, that's actually like part of the question. Like, Cissy, like, how does one go from all the work that you did in Silicon Valley and segue into video games? It seems like that's a very capitalistic world over there.
It's pretty standard, really. Well, first you really have to hate your life.
Check.
I remember telling my dad when I was like 6, Daddy, I want to be an actor. And he was like, no, you want to do the finance and be in the business. And so I never really followed that urge, right? And then I got a business degree and a Spanish degree, and I got a job at a fancy venture capital firm, and I was meeting people who were really, really rich. And I was like, I hate this. Like, just square peg, round hole every day. It was so bad. It was so bad. I ended up working for this woman at a startup company who was like emotionally abusive, and like she had me sitting in one of those offices with those horrible like blinky lights overhead that gave me migraines every day, and I was like, this is why people walk into oncoming traffic. This is not great. So I went to visit my aunt in Alaska, and we went out on the open ocean for 9 days, and I was like, I hate everything. I hate everything. And she was like, well, what's your dream job? You've always been really good at like accents or mimicry or whatever. Like, what if you did that? And I was like, I've always wanted to be a voice on The Simpsons, but you probably just gotta live in Hollywood. Like, I didn't even know voiceover was a thing. Cut to 2 weeks later. This is the cosmic zipper of it all. I'm getting ready for work one soul-sucking morning, and Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson, was on the radio talking about the Simpsons movie. And oh my God, you guys in San Francisco are so lucky. There's a voiceover school an hour away. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? So I called that day. I started taking classes that week, and I had a knack for it. 2 years later, I had an agent. I quit my job, my very well-paying job, thank you very much, to become an actor that does not pay like that. And I took the leap, and that was it.
What an interesting path. I mean, I know. That's a beautiful story. I'd like to think I would have done the same thing.
And I've been poor ever since. No, I'm kidding.
It's one thing to finally, make that jump and that leap and to get into video games. But now you're in that first video game session of what is going to become an illustrious career that you both had. After that first session, what was one of your takeaways? Like, what did you learn that you were excellent at immediately? And what was something that you learned that you had to dial in to kind of understand the nuance of video games?
I did not learn I was excellent at anything in that first session. But I'll tell you what I did learn. Because I didn't know really what the character was, I knew very little. The blurb was very short that they sent us, and the lines were some lines that are in the game and some that are not. but that was not the same name of the character, was not the same name of the video game, which is very frequently the case. So I went into that first session, found out what the game was. Cool, that sounds great. Hadn't heard of it yet because I wasn't paying attention as much as I should to news about video games yet.
Squirrel.
I had other things to do. I saw her. And when I saw this, as Michael Chu says, Beyonce of Overwatch, and I realized that, oh shit, like little girls who look like me are gonna have that. I didn't have that. I had Wonder Woman, and she is awesome, but the only things we have in common is that she's female and brunette. And that was all I had to cling to, or to look up to in terms of superheroes. And then I thought of the grander theme of this, that we were gonna have all of these heroes with all of these nuanced things. And it hit me, what I learned was, oh, this is gonna be as important as anything I've ever done. Anyone who thinks that voiceover doesn't, that it's just voice acting, or oh, you're just the voice, has no idea how much it can affect people and how much it can mean to people to hear themselves represented, to see themselves represented, to see a hero that maybe doesn't look like them, but that they identify with on the inside. I cried, Andrea Toyas cried when we saw her, like it was just a whole thing. So what I learned was, oh, this is gonna be dope. That's what I learned. What I learned was I may have to do more of this, like a lot.
You got the bug.
Yeah.
Cissy, what about you? When that first session, because I've been there on that first video game session of your career, you're like, this is totally different than commercials or promo. This is a whole different anime.
I might be about to blow your mind right now.
What's up?
So when I got signed in San Francisco to my agency, my first audition was for The Walking Dead, and I booked it.
That's ridiculous. It's not normal. It's not how it goes. Flex.
So it was my first session ever.
Oh, wow.
And it was Katya in The Walking Dead, who, first off, what I learned is I really like dopamine.
With so many jokes.
I know.
But I also really learned that for me, there is something about getting into the shoes of a character and inhabiting them completely that just gives me life in a way that nothing else does or ever has. Again, I just come from this Silicon Valley hustle. I don't even say 9 to 5. It was more like 9 to 9. Where it was all about, increasing the shareholder price for people that I would never meet, versus this one was, we need people to care about this character and maybe make people cry. And I was like, I can do that. And I loved it so fiercely and so entirely that I knew there was nothing else that would ever compete for my attention work-wise.
Wow. I had a follow-up question, but you just nailed that. You just took that away from me. It's great.
Sorry.
Well, now let's go ahead and, that leads me to my next question. Let's talk about your BAFTA award-winning performance.
Yes, let's.
As Delilah in Firewatch, one of my favorite games of all time. It's so cozy, so cute. But
wait, serious question. Did you find the turtle?
What turtle? I'm joking. You know what I didn't find at the end of the game? Delilah.
Spoilers.
Okay, so that is a unique game because that's technically not a AAA game. That's not a major game. That's an independent game, and yet you won a BAFTA for it. So how did working on an independent project like that further your career and lead to all the AAA work that you would do in the future?
So, interestingly, the people who created Firewatch had been the writers on The Walking Dead. So I met them through that first session. I ended up doing 9 characters throughout the Walking Dead universe with Telltale through the whole thing. So I worked with them on Katya and Jolene and Bree and Shell and Dee, which were the first season and DLC characters that I did. And I had just moved to LA when the game was getting ready to launch. They were having a wrap party, and I was like, I am flying myself up to Santa Rosa, California to go to this party because I'd never met these people in person, and there's just something magical about meeting people in the flesh, right? Mm-hmm. So I went up there, and I saw Sean Vanneman, who had written season 1, and I was like, are you Sean? on? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm Katya. And he was like, oh my God, Katya. And he like scooped me up and gave me a great big hug. And he was like, how did you get that accent? And I was like, well, I have a friend who's Belgian. If you haven't played the game, Katya is Belgian. She lived in the States for a long time, so she has a very light accent when she speaks, but it is very present, but minor. He was like, how did you get that? I based that off of a woman that I knew when I was a kid. And I was like, I have a friend who's Belgian, and I followed him around with a tape recorder for a little too long, and it got really awkward. And he was like, amazing. We just left Telltale. We are starting a new game company. We're writing a new game with a female protagonist. Want to do it? And I was like, does anybody say no? Like, does anybody go, nah, I'm good? I was like, yes, of course. So that's how that whole thing came about. And then because of Firewatch, it really let people know what I'm capable of as an actor, right? You want people to cry? I'm your guy. Bring me in. I got you. I can't tell you, literally in the last 4 months, I've gone into like 4 different sessions, and they're like, okay, we really need people to cry right here. And I'm like, sit down. I got you. You're good. You're good. But it let people know what I'm capable of. And I think that was, you know, in this business, it's 80% who you know, right? Yeah. And 20%, what do you bring?
Yeah, reputation is essential.
It's not, and I just want to, I'm just going to jump in here just so people understand, like, a lot of people complain about, oh my God, it's all about who you know. Okay, A, so go know people, just meet people. But B, it's not just who you know, it's who you have a real relationship with and who understands what you're capable of and trusts you. You can't just go out and like meet a million people. Your reputation is part of who you know. And at the end of the day, who do you want? Well, my husband and I have the 16-hour rule in business. At a certain point, everybody's yay talented or above. Who do I want to spend time with even after a 16-hour day of work?
That's so
Those
good.
are the people that you want to. Those are the people you want to call in. So it's not just who you knew. It's that they knew. I would spend time with you after 24 hours straight, and we would be super delirious and have no dopamine.
Nah, I think you're 100% right, because people always talk about gatekeepers, and I have a saying is that you can't gatekeep the key, and you're the key.
Oh, snap.
Bars. Like, and so
Bars, and I'm writing that shit down.
you can't gatekeep the key, and so it's incumbent upon the key to carve yourself by work and effort to fit the lock, and that's what gets you access. But aside from that amazing quote I just dropped out of nowhere, Cissy, I do have a follow-up question, because I think it's very interesting, like in a world where people are drawn to characters that are like, look like Beyonce, or you know, they're romanceable in some fashion. Like, you don't actually see your character Delilah in Firewatch, or maybe you do. I don't want to spoil anything. But why do you think people resonated with the character so much that they can't even see or romance?
It's my favorite thing about the game. And what I love the most is this. When you're introduced to a character in a game, you are supposed to feel a way about them based on their looks, the size of their personality, if you get my drift, right? We've all watched anime.
Yes, for that reason specifically.
But you don't get that with Delilah. You have to decide how you feel about her based on your interactions, based on your conversation, based on her, I don't know, personality, right? I love it so much. And there are people who played it who tried to romance every possible way, and there were people who played it who were like, oh God, she's really annoying, you know? And that's fine, that's the human experience, right? And so to not have it so, I don't want to say falsely engineered, but pre-made up how you're supposed to feel about her, whether she's, you know, blonde or not, or short or not. That's my favorite thing about the game. It's my favorite thing about the game.
I'm gonna clap for that one. That was just beautiful. All right, Anj, in our industry, we often get, you know, auditions and scripts from our agents, and the characters are often baked and locked in. Those specs are what they are, the illustrations are what they are, the personalities are already written in. It is what it is. So in your work in Apex Legend with Rampart, like how much of that was just the specs and how much of that was your creation? Because you say that she's one of your favorites. Like,
Yeah, well, the reason is that she's just me with an accent and a big gun, and I think when I got the audition, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is me with the accent available. So I threw out the audition. Again, I threw it up. I threw it out. I don't know why I'm throwing
I want
things.
everything.
There she is. No, I did not vomit out that audition. I promise. But then I actually had a callback for that one. I didn't get one for Symmetra, but I had one for Rampart. And I was just like, cool, you guys, what do we want to do? Like, I was just kind of dopey in there. And they were so excited to play with her. And through the sessions, like a lot of my own mannerisms made it in as Rampart-isms. I feel like the only thing about her that I'm like, not me, is the side ponytail, because that's not practical. But
She actually carries a giant gun everywhere. She couldn't.
I do, that part. But the side pony, too far. Way too far, stretching my imagination. In fact, we did use my face for the facial capture, which happened during lockdown in my house, which is another story. Yeah, so they were so open to playing with her that I didn't know what she looked like yet either. So we didn't have art until even like just very sketch art until several sessions in. So yeah, I mean, she's not my favorite character.
Okay.
She's the most like me.
because you were able to input so much of your own specific idiosyncrasies
Yeah,
into
like she's really fun to do. I can't say she's my favorite character because there are a few that I'm like, those are really cool too. But she's just loads of fun to do. I throw on a rock and roll T-shirt. I wear flats. Oh no, like Anjali in flats. And then I just laugh a lot. Her laugh that she like laughs a lot after she laughs a lot at her own jokes because I laughed a lot at those lines. And then she says dope, I say dope all the time. So they just threw it in there. But yeah, the fact that she laughs at her own jokes is because they wrote such good lines, I laughed at them all so much.
Yeah, people, there's so much you in the character. I think it's coming across
Yeah.
that
I
way.
I wish I was more like Symmetra. I wish I was elegant and smooth. Beyonce. And the only thing, the two of us run very comfortably in high heels, so we got that in common. But I'm definitely a little more like Rampart, a little rough and tumble.
I think it's interesting that, Apex and Overwatch, these are like first-person shooters. And there's a lot that you can do with a character that's in a first-person shooter, but you come from theater and opera. Like, have there been other titles that you've worked in, and you don't have to name them specifically, but when you are working on those titles, are you able to do more with a character that's like just not trying to shoot somebody in the face when it's more narrative-driven?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot more to do. The first one that comes to mind is Stray Gods, which was an indie game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Fans.
all right. Greek mythology and music, put it together, which was, the first time anyone had done that. For those of you who don't know Stray Gods, it is a role-playing game musical. So it's story-driven, but your decisions determine what parts of a song you hear, what lyrics you hear, how the song ends up, along with do you romance this character, how do you go forward, all of those things. And so my session, I was cast as Medusa, which happened because Troy literally texted me, hey, do you sing? And I was like, yeah, what do you want? You want a ballad? You want an up-tempo? You want a rock and roll song? What do you want? And he said, something weird. So I did my version of that, and then the rest happened. But my session was the first session they recorded, so they had no idea not only what her voice sounded like, but they had no idea how we were going to go about recording this. Like, they hadn't figured out a system yet. And the sheet music was kind of kooky because you had to jump all over the place, and the audio was like a plunk track with a dude singing it. So that completely for me was like, oh yeah, we're doing a musical. We're also developing a musical, because when you develop a musical, things change on the reg until you're done with tech, and maybe even through previews. So it felt very much like that. And then it was just loads of fun to sing, like to go from the singing voice, which I made very different from her sort of monster Eartha Kitt voice.
Austin Wintry did the music for that.
Austin Wintry, who just won a Grammy.
Lex.
He was doing a concert for the show, for the game that he won the Grammy for on the night of the Grammys. So he couldn't go to the Grammys because he was conducting that music. But it just shows how prolific and amazing he is. So Austin Wintry did that, and it was a first game for Summer Fall Studios. So yes, short story long, yes, absolutely. There are so many games, and I think indie games really just have the freedom to do more because there's not so much money at stake, and because there aren't necessarily specific IPs that are so ingrained in our hearts and our minds. I think they have a chance to do more daring things, and so we have a chance to do more daring things. And they are, my experience in every indie game that I've done is extremely collaborative, extremely excited that we're there, and excited to use us to share the game with the world, which is exciting for us. Because once you've made it, you want people to play it.
Yeah.
You really,
Unless it sucks, then don't.
Then we're like, cool, see you later. Luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had to experience that.
Yes.
But yeah, Stray Gods was definitely like that. And there's like a list of so many more. Sunderfolk, Sunderfolk, where I got to do all the voices in the game, which I think there were like, 30? I don't know, a bunch. Again, like, it's like doing theater.
Wow.
It's just like doing theater. The only difference is they can't see me acting, but I'm doing it in front of
by myself.
By myself.
Room.
By myself, exactly. Which is how I rehearse normally for everything else.
I always say like the microphone is our camera.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different for us. We're still performing.
Yeah.
And that performance has to come across. Cissy, I almost have like the opposite question for you. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is beloved, it's huge, and you literally have a cult. In the game.
Go on.
We're all part of it.
We're all members.
We all pledge fealty.
The Cissy cult.
Yeah, the cult of Sis.
Obey.
Yes, my liege. So in a game that's a very specific character. There's not much you can do. You can't tell the story. You can't sing like Anjali just saying. Like,
Can't romance me, whatever.
You can't You're not even romanceable.
You can't because you're unattainable. Astarion is easy. You gotta work for you.
Ew. So in a role like that, like what did you bring to the Absolute that allowed you like the freedom to kind of play and imprint yourself on such a very specific role?
So funny enough, this goes back to Telltale and The Walking Dead. So one of my very closest friends that I met working on actually Wolf Among Us with Telltale is now the cinematics director at Larian, who made Baldur's Gate 3. And so we've stayed in touch over the years, obviously, and he called me a couple years ago and he was like, I've got a brain. And I was like, what? And he's like, I need a villain. I need a villain for this giant brain who is wreaking havoc, and I need a really wicked cackle. You do a better wicked cackle than anybody I know. And I was like, I'm in! And we spent, sessions upon sessions just rolling out the... And he was like, ooh, lower. Okay, and stretch it out a little bit. No, louder, make it big, and just having so much stupid fun, laughing, and being an idiot, which is my favorite part of this job.
Yes, it's my favorite thing to be in life.
Yeah, pretty much. Stupid with 2 O's, as I like to call it.
Stupid. Anj, like I've watched so many interviews of yours in the past 2-3 weeks preparing for this.
Because I talk so much.
Yeah, there's so many interviews.
There's so many interviews.
But one thing I saw you allude to that I just kind of wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth is that you are very proud that Symmetra is on the spectrum.
Yes.
And why do you feel like that's an important part of her background? And is there like a personal connection that you have with that aspect of her personality and character?
Well, what I think is important is that it is not the defining part of her as a character or as a human being.
More to her.
And the team at Overwatch did such an extraordinary job of creating characters who had intersectional identities, who weren't defined by any one part of who they were. And they did not even tell me she was on the spectrum. I didn't even know until I had an idea when that first comic came out, like a week or two before the game came out, and she alluded to it. And then I called up Michael, I texted, I didn't call, because, you know, we don't, who calls?
No.
Who calls these days?
None.
But I texted Michael Shue and I was like, is she on the spectrum? And he's like, yeah, I think so, maybe, possibly, yes, she is. But it hadn't been publicly announced. And I love that so much, because the way they wrote her description and the way they wrote her just showed and told me and told everyone else about the manifestation of her being on the spectrum, of where she was on the spectrum, because it's a spectrum. Everybody's not the same. And the fact that she has her experiences and does what she does with them, the challenges that she has become a reason for her on the inside to do more good in the world. And that she wants to do good, whether she was aligned with the right company or not, that she wants to do more good and make the world a better place because of the challenges she grew up with and saw. And we don't have, or at least historically have not had, a lot of stories or movies or games or characters written like that. And at least I hadn't seen one until her. And at the same time the game was coming out, I was doing a play about a young girl on the spectrum as well. And it just, I think it's just really important that no matter what we are or perceive ourselves to be, we understand that we are so much more. And I think a lot of people who are on the spectrum are not given that opportunity because of how other people perceive them or how other people defined them or define them just by saying, I'm on the spectrum. So I love the fact that we can now see someone who's like, I'm on the spectrum, I'm a woman in STEM, I run really well in high heels, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I'm South Indian. All of these things that make her her, so that other people can see that and realize that they are so much more than any one thing, and that every one thing about them can be a power in and of itself. So that's why it matters to me.
That's absolutely beautiful, and thank you for always speaking up for that community. You know, I talk a lot about authenticity and representation, and for any developers who are out there, NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, we have a best practices for authentic casting, which is one of the main initiatives that I worked on last year.
Amazing.
And it was important to me because, you know, I feel like you said, every community deserves representation, and not just relegation, not to the periphery or not what someone thinks a community is like, but true representation, and understanding it's not a monolithic representation either. There's specificity and identity.
Also, I do want to clarify, and this is my opinion, this does not come from anyone else, but there's a difference between representation and authenticity, meaning it has to be someone who has all those traits.
Yes.
And the authenticity coming from someone who either researched a bunch once they knew it, or Blizzard setting us up for success by not saying she's on the spectrum, by saying, here are all her characteristics. Here is what she's afraid of. Here is what she's excited by. Here is what she cares about. And letting that portrayal come through without something that might have given me a preconceived notion of what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That right there, I think, and also, this is a whole side note, so I won't go too far in this, but I think we do ourselves a disservice when we say it has to be exactly the same. It has to be someone who has the exact same description as the person on this page, because we are actors, and it doesn't always have to be that. I think there is a fine line between representation and I don't even know what to call it, just like
And marginalization.
Marginalization.
Yeah,
Sure,
you don't want to
sure.
be like, you want the ability to do your job in the craft as actors, but you don't want to be disrespectful and misrepresent a community either.
Exactly.
And so it is a
Exactly.
fine line.
And also, I think it's more about inclusion. Making
Ultimately.
sure everybody feels like they're invited to the party.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me.
I think that's the power of authentic casting, is having true representation and not a caricature of a supposition.
Yeah.
And I think, Cissy, in your opinion, like, why do you think that if not representation, then allyship Like having people who are allies, people who understand or are amenable to a specific cause. In AAA games, like what's the power of allyship in your opinion?
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
what a great question. I'm sorry, you didn't ask it to me. I just said it. Just gotta get it.
I mean, I think it's imperative, right? Like, I know that I've been given certain privileges in my life because of my economic status, because of the color of my skin. I also know that I've been shut out of rooms because I'm a woman. And a rising tide lifts all boats, so why wouldn't we try to help each other out? You know what I mean? I have been in sessions and I've looked at the producers and been like, you don't want me for this. I'm gonna give you a list of incredible black actresses that you need for that, right? Doesn't need to be me. But also understanding that, like I did a panel with another black actress several years ago, and she was like, that's bullshit. I will book a white character over you any day of the week. And I was like, you know what, you're right. Because you have had to live in a world that required you to mask to fit certain characteristics, or to be welcomed into certain rooms, or to be comfortable with to make the people around you comfortable. I have not had to do that, so I will not audition for a character whose life I have not had to try and experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yes, I hope she books a white character over me, but I will never be auditioning for a black character.
See, I think this is what makes you two legends. It's not the IMDb credits. It's your heart and your mind, and that's why I'm so honored to be talking to you two today. I do want to make a little bit of time for Q&A, if that's okay with the AV team, but we're going to segue to that in just a moment. So if you have any questions, just think about them. We'll have the mic set up in just a second.
No elbows. Keep it nice.
Yeah, no, don't throw them balls. We'll segue. So my last question before we get to Q&A, and I wanted to save a little bit of time for that, is about safety in the booth. Vocal health as well, but also just the ability to connect with the script and the development team. How important is having a safety dynamic with a director? Like, what does that enable you to create, and how does that add value to a AAA game?
Magic.
Yeah,
It
it's
creates
everything.
magic.
Yeah, it's imperative. It's I mean, some people can be director-proof, and some if it's
Director-proof?
Well, if someone there are some times where you get a director who maybe doesn't know how to convey what they want, or doesn't know what they want, or whatever. Those things do happen, and so those are the moments where you have to be like, okay, I have to either interpret what they want, or I need to come up with something on my own, and therefore we all win if I do a little bit more work here. But when you have someone who makes you feel safe screwing up, who makes you feel safe just going out there and doing what feels right as opposed to what you think is right, the safer you feel, the better you are.
I think it's important to convey to you that as someone whose job is to put our heart on our literal sleeves and make people feel things for a living, we can be a little sensitive. So, like, I don't know about you, but I've been in sessions where, you know, you'll be in your little soundproof box and they'll be like, yeah, that was great, just give us a minute. And they cut the sound, and all you see is them on the other side of the glass going, they're throwing up the audition, right? Blech. And you sit in there going, oh my God, I've failed. What am I doing? This is terrible. I'm never gonna work in this town again. What's happening, you know? And then that happened to me, and I walked out, and my director was like, oh my God, we were talking about the pizza we had for lunch yesterday. Someone put sardines on it. Bleh. And I was like, I'm in there the whole time thinking I've ruined myself. Like, what? Give me a heads up, you know? But that aside, there is something about having emotional safety with somebody when you're trying to create something moving. And not like, look at me, I'm moving, but like, what? To feel safe, to go really far, it's hard and it's scary. And the worst thing you want to hear is, really? That's all you got? You know, or God, you took that to a place I didn't expect, right? So you need to feel safe being like, hey, listen, I'm drawing on some really deep shit here. I'm happy to go there. I can probably give you 2, maybe 3, but like, this is some heavy stuff. And having them be like, I got you. Like, let's do it once. If we need to do it again, fine. If not, We don't have to beat a dead horse. Having that comfort or literal physical safety. I've had sessions before, video game sessions, where I have left with my throat bleeding because my director kept pushing me. Same director twice, by the way, who I no longer work with. But being able to say to your director, hey, I get that this is a big character and this is a big thing. I'm gonna take 5 minutes and go do my straw phonations, my warm-ups, give me some hot tea. I'll be back, we'll knock this out. Or I can't do this all in one session, we're gonna have to cut this up into multiple, which is literally what we struck about in 2016. Being able to have those conversations and be honest, like, I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. I'm not trying to get another session fee. Like, I legit don't want to break my moneymaker.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's paramount to feeling successful in this business.
Yeah.
Anybody can go in and scream on a microphone, but feeling held enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna tell you something that's really freaking me out right now, and feeling safe enough to do so is paramount.
Yeah.
That's beautiful insight. The reason I wanted to ask that question is because, you know, I do pretty well for myself as a voice actor. I'm not, you know, Bhimani and Cissy Jones, but I'm doing all right. And one of my second AAA title I worked on was a game called Off the Grid. It's like a Fortnite type game. The developers would hate me if they heard me say that. But I played a character called Blitz, and he's like a, you know, NFL ex-football player, because they didn't want to have an actual NFL reference. But he suffered from CTE. And trauma, and that was kind of like his backstory, and they were all from a different country. They didn't understand American football, and so you know, they needed to cast someone with a little bit of authenticity, and I was able to do that role. And in it, we started to improv, and they started asking me about like my pain levels, my background, and I started to improv in character, and some of it made it into the game and some did not. But in this improv, I started to talk about my pain and how it's hard to get up and how it's hard to hold my kids, and I was just in character, and like they kept asking me these questions, and I started to cry, and none of it made it into the game, but the director looked at me afterward and was like, thank you. And it created such a safe space for me to explore those emotions, nonetheless physically, but emotionally. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, and thank you for taking the time to answer it so eloquently. I do want to open up the floor to any questions. If anybody wants to step up to a mic, there's 2 microphones right there. So please step up to the mic. We'll get to your questions in just a moment. Please, if you want to step up to the mic, all don't rush at once. And so before you ask your questions, I do want to put a couple disclaimers out. Like, let's not ask our talent to do any specific lines or any character references. Like, let's understand that these are people, and they're not here to just you know, play the character for you in real time. So let's be respectful of our guests. And also, if you're interested in how to become a voice actor, let's not ask that question right now. We have a table downstairs in the bandland area, the Nava table, so please come see us and we could talk further about that. And I also do want to pitch you guys on a game really quick. It's called Fire Overwatch. We combined the 2 games together. Delilah and Symmetra, the robots have taken over the land, and you guys have to go out there and manage the park together. I'm just saying, if you're in Blizzard, holler at us. We got an idea for you guys.
What are our catchphrases here? Like, locked and loaded. I don't know.
With like our new character catchphrases?
Yes.
Let us discuss your failures. That's probably what she would constantly do. She's just a judgy auntie.
I think it should be only you can prevent forest fires.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right.
Delilah would be like, take the shot. No, not with a gun. It's the scotch. Take the shot.
All right, my man who just dropped the mic. Let's start with you.
I have a question for Cissy, not about voice acting specifically, but in general about transitioning from a job that pays well to something you're passionate about.
Terrifying.
Because I'm in the middle of my own midlife career change, and I want to know, how do you bring yourself to shed those golden handcuffs, and do you ever miss the job security or question your life decisions?
Great. 1 minute per answer, please, so we can get through everybody.
Sir.
After I'm like, respect the panelists, I'm like, shut it down.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I've never regretted my decision, never once. I lament that there is no job security in voice acting, but I would take it 1,000 times over the hell that I was living. I hated that life. It just wasn't for me. And in terms of making the change, I had a good amount of money saved up, so I knew that I was going to have to pour a lot of work into classes, which I did, demos, which I did, training, which I did. It ain't cheap and it ain't overnight. So understanding that it is a process, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Even from the time I started taking classes to when I got my agent, it took me 2 years. So it's hard, it's terrifying, but I knew in my heart of hearts, Cosmic Zipper was telling me this is where you gotta go. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Cosmic Zipper, I'm gonna take longer than my 60 seconds.
Please, please.
You can take mine. Take my 60 seconds.
I have felt in my life when I'm on the wrong path, I just keep hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and I can't seem to find my way around it no matter how much I back up and try to work my way around until I find the path I'm supposed to be on, and it just comes together, right? And that's how voiceover was for me. It just came together.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
On the left-hand side, please.
I came in late, so I apologize if this
Rude.
question is answered. But
Who this man?
you were talking earlier about going from theater to voice acting. Is there a difference in how you perform, like in a space where you have to reach the back seats versus just to a microphone? Is there a difference in performance?
Absolutely. But here's the wonder. God, I'm a voice actor who keeps popping on these mics. There is a part of our training as theater performers that serves you in voice acting so much, which is just the part of you that knows how to do 8 shows a week and not die. We have a lot more, in terms of the vocal training that we get in the theater, there is a lot more room to experiment with different voices, it feels like when you're training for film, everybody just wants to talk like this, and everybody just wants to be really natural, and like they just kind of want it to be one thing. Theater, you get to experiment with all of it. And so that part of the training is really, really special and very, very, very helpful. You will use that part of your voice that makes you, hit the back of the 1,500 seat theater. You absolutely will use it. Chances are you will use it when you're doing battle chatter or something else. But taking the time to understand that you can distill that into taking it even quieter and quieter and playing with the microphone itself and listening back, there's a whole other level of intimacy and a whole other level of sounds that you can make when you are speaking quietly that we don't get to make use of in the theater, unless you're mic'd. And that's been really fun, just learning mic technique. As a singer, it was easier because we do that a lot while we're singing, but yeah, there's a lot you learn in theater that's tremendously helpful. Now just play with the microphone as much as you can.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please.
I have a question about preparing for a specific role and making sure you don't over-prepare when you are given a lot of resources, but also making sure that when you show up for the session, you're oh, I under-prepared and now I have to go completely off the cuff.
What a luxury.
Yeah.
More often than not, we will show up to a session never having seen the script.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is you have to be a good cold reader. You must be.
Cold actor.
Cold actor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If we do get a chance to prepare, I don't think you can over-prepare. I think you show up, you have ideas, you collaborate. If they're the collaborative team that is sending you a script ahead of time, that means you're probably going to have a chance to actually talk about it before you start recording, which is amazing. Just don't be locked into the thing that you came with. Be collaborative and understand that what you think must happen might not be what they want, and you find something in the middle.
Something that Cissy just said is very specific that I want to grab onto, which is we call it over-preparing a lot, but what it really is locking into something you can't throw away and try something else. You can prepare, you can read this thing a million times, you can do it a million different ways, and then still come in and give them something different. So it doesn't have to do with how much you prepare, it comes with how much you are clinging to what you've already done in that preparation. If you can let it all go, prepare as long as you want, if you have the luxury of doing so.
Yeah.
Great.
I would say always ask them if they are going to spring languages on you that you don't speak.
Yeah.
Which happens to people who don't look like they maybe are Caucasian a lot. So that might be something to, it's really fun. That's happened to me in movies, that's happened to me in voiceover, it's a thing.
It's terrifying.
So yeah, yes.
We have 7 minutes left, so let's kind of start powering
right.
through.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
We've talked in the past about roles where you've kind of been working over months, you inhabit a character. Have there been times where the final direction kind of diverges from your own interpretation? And how do you manage that disparity?
You be water.
Yeah.
You move, you flow, you go where they need you to go. There's nothing better than having a director with a clear vision and helping you get there safely. You be water.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Next.
I was curious if there were any differences in the recording system process for linear media, like film and TV, versus interactive media, like a video game.
Any differences in the recording process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much of it is obviously if you can't see your physical self, how are you going to distill that into the microphone? When we're doing performance capture, it's almost exactly the same. In fact, I would argue that it's a little bit harder than either film or theater because it's an amalgam of both, and you're wearing a very uncomfortable unitard.
And you're surrounded by apple boxes. to
Yes,
make all of the
exactly,
finish.
and you're really imagining things. It's like working on a Marvel show where they're like, a car's coming at you, pretend! And like that happens a lot.
We all know what that's like, Anj.
Yeah, okay. But it's
It's like working on a Marvel show. Like, yeah, that's a common reference.
Okay.
We all know what
okay,
that's
shut up, stop.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, it's so that it's when we're doing performance capture, it's very, very much the same. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hi. As someone who's working a 9 to 5 and also catering to their younger self via acting, I want to know how you guys define success in a multifaceted approach.
Ooh, we all get to answer.
That's a big
I
one.
love this question so much. It changes on a daily basis. The number one thing, though, is it can't be all about money. And I think the arts get saddled with that as an institution. Oh, it's not successful art unless it makes money, right? We get saddled as that as people, especially if maybe you come from a family that only sees it that way and you're trying to chase your happiness and more than you're trying to chase money. I define success as making a living doing what I love and enjoying what I do. Even if it's being tragic characters and going through all of these horrible things there. That's it. That's where I leave it.
I want to chime in here and say, there's this saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. It's bullshit. Do what you love and you will work 24 hours a day for the rest of your life.
And probably for free. No, that's not for free.
We eat, sleep, breathe this constantly, and it is exhausting. And then Matthew and I also sit on the board of the National Association of Voice Actors, trying to make sure that there continues to be a healthy community, industry for us going forward with AI and everything else. So it is all-consuming. That said, very sensitive.
Right, see?
I would agree with Anj. For me, the success is, do I wake up every day still excited to do what I do? And am I able to support myself and my kids doing what I do? And yeah, I do, and I love it.
I would agree with both of you. I think to me, success is when tomorrow's not a threat. When I can go to sleep and
Damn, you are good.
That's what, and there's no dollar amount on that piece. When I go to sleep and I'm like, I don't care if it's Monday, I don't care if it's Sunday, whatever day it is, I know tomorrow's gonna be a blessing, like something I can deal with. And so whether I have a session at 6 o'clock in the morning because the client's in London, or whether we're waking up in Capitol Hill and we have 16 meetings with different senators and representatives to pass some AI legislation. As long as tomorrow's not a threat, I'm good, and that's successful.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, any tips for creating a good, quick demo reel?
Work with someone who knows what they're doing. I know everybody thinks you can just record yourself making funny voices and strap them together, but a trained ear can hear the difference between a seasoned demo producer and a bunch of funny voices slapped together. Nava has the voiceover resource guide on our website, which has a list of demo producers. Listen, again, it ain't cheap. It ain't overnight. But if you get someone who knows what they're doing, like Matthew put together a promo demo that like changed the game for him.
It did. It got me signed by my next agents, and that was because I worked with a demo producer who it's not just, they're not pressing buttons and pressing record. Like, there's people who can do that. They know the trends. They know what's booking, they know what's marketable now. And that's what you're paying for, is that insight into the industry as it looks at that current moment. And that makes you the more marketable, that makes you more bookable. And there's on our website, novavoices.org, there's a best practices for demo production. Go to that, read through that, you'll be on the path.
Make sure you're not getting scammed.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Love your boots.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna make it on time.
Hi, very quick. So I started my voice acting journey back in 2023, though. I was wondering, what advice do you have for people, though, who started acting later in life, though, like with no theater experience?
I didn't have any experience. I was 30 when I made the jump. Keep going. Have fun.
Yeah.
Do local theater. Read out loud. Read children's books to kids and use stupid voices. Have fun. If you're not having fun, people aren't having fun listening to you.
Yeah, and also, I say this a lot to young actors, but I think it applies to those of us who maybe are not young in years, but young in spirit. All we have to do to be able to act for the rest of our lives is not die. The bar is low. Right? That's all you have to do, is stick around and stay the course. It's an endurance sport. It's not a sprint. And there is work for every, there is not, I know everybody talks about there, like feels like there might be scarcity, but there's not. And there are so many people welcoming you in. So don't let your age even, let it be a thing about you, the same as you have brown hair, you are wearing glasses, like whatever it is. Let it just be a thing. Don't let it be a definition of what you can do.
I would echo that. I know we're pressed for time, but I would agree. I started in this industry mid-pandemic. I started in 2022. I started a year before you. And I've done AAA titles. I'm sitting here talking to them. Wow. Like, if I can do it, bro, and I'm 41 years old. I didn't start when I was young. I know I look good for my age, but like, I am flesh and blood proof that it's possible. So if I can do it, there's no reason you can't. Believe that.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Chloe.
Hello. Oh, wow. Whether it's before an audition or like after an audition, if you're like, oh, I don't know how that one went, or when it's doing research, what are like some affirmations or things that you tell yourself and like remind yourself of constantly, so that you're like, you know, I'm capable of this, like I'm confident in this, like what do you do to...
For me, again, it's if I'm having fun, that's what matters.
Yeah,
if I
play.
walk out of an audition and I'm like, oh God, that sucked. Like, why would I send that?
Yeah, exactly. It's just play. Be willing to play. All of my most fun gigs. I am going to tell the Overwatch audition story. So I got the audition when I was in London. My husband was touring, and we were on our way to sound check, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to. I was not going to sleep because I had a 7 o'clock flight the next day. And the audition came in on our way to sound check. So I knew I was gonna have to record it when I picked up my suitcases at 7 o'clock in the morning on my way to the airport. So all I did was like, cool, I'm gonna pick up my phone, I'm gonna do this fun thing, I'm gonna make it fun, and then I'm gonna put it down and I'm gonna leave. Exactly. There it is, now it's full circle. But because I didn't have time to get in my head, I didn't give myself the freedom to overthink it. For me, that really helps. Sometimes if I'm hearing the voices in my head get too loud, I'm like, you got too much to do. Go, just get it out there.
Thank you.
Can we answer one more question?
Okay, speed run.
Okay,
Go.
So you talked about working conditions and inclusivity. Is there anything else that you would change for the betterment of the industry?
We would train?
Yeah, we would. No, it's what these two are working on with Nava, and what so many people are doing is figure out how we are going to safely coexist as AI grows.
So also Nava was created as an advocacy group for the community. We offer access to healthcare. We lobby for responsible AI legislation. We offer classes, both community and member. We do everything we can to make this community healthy and safer and better always. So come see us at the Badlands area. What is it, Badlands?
No, the Bandlands.
Bandlands. Come see us down in Badlands, and we can talk till we're blue in the face. We are also doing a fundraiser on June 13th for Nava called Day of Play.
Yes.
It's a 12-hour streaming event so that we can continue to go to Capitol Hill and lobby for legislation. We can continue to offer access to healthcare. We can continue to educate the community and advocate for the community. So please come get some information, check it out, donate if you're able. Just come say hi.
That's downstairs in the Bandland area. And thank you so much. This has been From No Way to AAA.
Yay! Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, we're going to do a picture. Everybody get up.
Oh, can we take a picture with you all?
Pause, button, play, button. Video
Bom,
up
galera,
next.
esse foi
LDAKL
nosso...
Torneo del Poder se realizan la saga de Piccolo de Mal Capitulo 7, Alex DB, 25 minutes, 47 seconds.
Ok. Bom, galera, esse foi o vídeo da vez. Vamos ficando por aqui. A gente volta daqui a pouquinho com a Gamescom, o evento de abertura. Muito obrigado por nos acompanhar. Até o próximo vídeo. Valeu, falou. E eu fui. Até daqui a
Pesquisar
pouco.
janela. Caixa de pesquisa edição. OBS Studio. OBS Flow. Interromper.